Playing shortstop, number 44, Emily De La Cruz.
Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Straz.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. I'm Roger. That's Ricky. It is Monday at 8 p.m. and we are live, and we are doing a show because we recapped last week the Major League Ball Club Cincinnati Redlegs season, 2025 season, and that had its ups and downs, lots of things to chew on, managers' decisions and whatnot. But today we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to recap the minor leagues and how their 2025 season. We cover the minor leagues. We covered the minor leagues throughout the whole year, but we really didn't give any out awards. We didn't give out any, major decisions and how we felt about how the system was and whatnot. And basically, we were wanting to just kind of highlight the minor leagues again and give shout outs to some guys that had some really good years. And, basically we want to just, highlight these guys. Because honestly, this is kind of the part of the project, Ricky, that I've kind of enjoyed the most, is getting really deep dug into the Reds organization and getting to learn a bunch of these guys. And also, obviously we talked to Trevor Kunsel, and that was awesome to kind of get a little bit of insight of what it is to be a player in the Reds organization. What is going on here? Are we getting ambushed with breaking news?
What do we got, sir boy? What do we got?
All right, but before I guess it gets broken, I guess how have you been, Ricky?
I've been busy. Just life. Kids were on fall break last week and had to go back to school today, and that was a rough time.
All right, we got jokes. Well, we got jokes. So the breaking news is former Reds manager, con man. Anyway, we can have that be another show.
He was okay. He was an okay manager.
Is Penn State's board is number one? What? I don't know about
number
that.
One on Penn State's board to replace James Franklin as head coach. Breaking news: James Franklin fired as Penn State head coach.
Yeah. All right.
Surprisingly, after his quarterback gets hurt, they lose. Yeah, whatever. A lot of Penn State fans, so.
I was say not a college football show either. Go Bucks, but
hey, if you want college football, tune in tomorrow on the Lights Out podcast on the All Gloves Off Sports Network with Mike Ballantyne and Cheese. That'll be one. They'll probably be talking about that tomorrow. So
that might lead off the show, the Franklin firing. It's kind of a bit surprising, but I don't know, man. You lose to UCLA and then Northwestern, can't lose to the book nerds. That is what I heard. You know what I mean? They're not there to play football necessarily at that school like they are at Penn State. So shout out to UCLA and Northwestern for having the ability to knock out James Franklin, a guy that everyone thought kind of he was untouchable. But again, not a college football show. Shout out to Ohio State. They won their game today or this weekend. So. But we're here to talk about the minors. We're here to talk about the guys that we liked profiling, guys that kind of went under the radar that we, I think next year I'm going to be a lot more paying attention to some of even the smaller stories that may not be like, Alfredo Duno, headliner kind of guy, Stal Stewart, headliner kind of guy that's always going to be talked about by major publications or minor publications. I think we could even get a little bit deeper. I think you already do that as well, Ricky, with the DSL guys, and a lot of them follow our Instagram, so shout out to them if they're watching on Instagram tonight.
Yeah, we are live on Instagram too, by the way. Red Hot Reds podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, hopefully the AI can dub it in Spanish for them, so that way they can get a little bit inkling. But shout out
to un poco español, pero not a lot.
no mucho. Yeah, we'll try our best. If you ever want to try to get on the show, any of the guys for the DSL or any of the guys that get promoted to Dayton or Daytona from the DSL, I think you said Pablo Nunez was one of them that got
Pablo
promoted.
Nunez is in Arizona currently. Adolfo Sanchez is in there currently. They'll be on the ACL Reds next season. Well, this coming season or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of prospects that we paid pretty good, decent money for in the international signing period. Finally reached the age where they could get to the States.
Yeah, it would be great if they continue their excellent trajectory, hopefully into the affiliates and whatnot. And I've been kind of really contemplating. I'm getting a bunch. I'm on the Dayton Dragons like email list all the time, so I'm contemplating getting a small package for Dayton. Unfortunately, this year I wasn't able to get out to the Dragons. We usually have like a fundraiser for my kids' school for preschool. They go out there at least once a year. But unfortunately, that was like when we were on vacation, so we weren't able to go to that game for that fundraiser. But yeah, I'm tempted to get a partial season ticket package for Dayton and getting up there because there's no way that Duneau is not going to be in Dayton, right? Like,
oh yeah,
could he skip Dayton? Like, is it?
I mean, if you ask Carrick, there's absolutely zero chance. But I mean, if he dominates like he has, I mean, he might not be there long.
Yeah, he could be there the first month and then get called up, kind of like Rhett Lauder, Chase Burns type of scenario, and just get fast-tracked a bit. That's a possibility. So I guess I should get a season ticket package for the month of only April, is what you're saying. So that way, yeah, at least I'll have a chance to see him at least once. So, yeah, shout out to Duneau. He's also participated in the Arizona Fall League, which we could touch on a little bit later in the show. But broad strokes, Ricky, how do you think the minor league season for the Reds organization overall, if you want to give it a grade, or just kind of like, touch on some broad, review of how it went in 2025?
Overall, I think it went pretty well. We had two teams make the postseason. Chattanooga won the first half, and the Daytona Tortugas won the second half, which, I mean, Daytona, man, that team, when they got all their call-ups later in the season, that they clicked, and that was really fun to see. And Dayton goes on that absolutely insane winning streak, and Louisville just kind of hung around. They did go on a winning streak towards the end of the season. I think they won like 12 or 10, 12 in a row, something like that.
In that range, yeah.
And Reese Hines did Reese Hines things. When Will Benson was in AAA, he did Will Benson things. Overall, I'd say, I don't think we're ever going to be an A, just because we don't have the prospects like the Dodgers have or teams like that. But I'm going to give it a solid B+.
Yeah, that seems fair, because it's almost weird if you do like have an A grade as an organization. You probably have guys that are ready to play in the majors, right? Like if you're talking about like Louisville is winning, 66% of their games, they probably should have guys that are probably with the Cincinnati Reds, because there's a lot of guys that sometimes the Reds kind of carry that are, not to be too derogatory, but like, 4A players, right? So like if you've got a dominant AAA, AA, or all the way down to single A, teams that are just killing it, you probably have promotions easily going on. And the weird thing that struck me for like this, minor league season is all four teams, like you pointed out, got hot at one point and another. Like Chattanooga was hot in the first half when they had Sal, and Hector come up. So like, or they had Heck before Hector got promoted, right? So like Chattanooga was like killing it. Second half, not so much, because Sal and Hector moved up and whatnot, and Chase Burns moved up and whatever. So like, but then they had 16 out of 17 for Dayton Dragons. When what they have? They had like 33 wins on the season, and they got it up to like 49. So like, shout out to them for making like a decent run at the end to make it seem like they had a better season than they did. But they were struggling the first half mightily, and some guys that will be in the Arizona Fall League and the Winter Dominican League are kind of doing that basically to get back on track, because Dayton kind of came out the gate pretty sluggish. Daytona, did pretty well, qualified for the playoffs, had all those guys got promoted in the second half and went on a huge streak into the playoffs and whatnot. And you mentioned as well, Louisville went on like 10 or 11 game winning streak to end the season. The one team in the whole Reds organization that didn't have like a hot streak the whole year, a major league team, had like a 6-game winning streak, and that was great. But like that was the top of the top, right? I'm not saying you have to have a 12-game winning streak to be a legitimate team. We saw in 2023 that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're ready for the big time. But I don't know. I guess I'm starting to hear in the back of my head the Nick Kroll quote that you go to. We want to get rid of all the peaks and valleys. And the Major League team did that. The minors, though, not so much. So I'd give them a solid B, maybe even a B minus because, they had some guys that come up, especially like we look at Louisville really, really closely, for the guys that are right there to be promoted or possibly, option down. And I don't know if Louisville really, like they provide some spark, but I feel like in 2024 and 2023, like the Reese Hines in 2024 are coming up and being a big spark. Obviously, we had like a CES weekend. We had like a Will Benson weekend or 2 weekends, really. But it felt like the AAA, they helped us in some areas, but the main core players are the ones that kind of help the Major League Ball Club really have success. And I'm not saying that the AAA team has to be the reason that you have success in Major League Baseball, right? But it sure doesn't hurt to have guys come up from AAA and come on and get W's for you, right? I just don't think it was as strong of a minor league system, or at least, like to help the Major League system. I think we got like 1 or 2 years, and those guys that we're going to talk about probably in a little bit, those guys are going to be real big impact players, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that the team we're going to talk about here soon, that's the next crop. That is Ellie, McLean, those guys in 2023 and probably 2027. Yeah.
Yeah. So, without further ado, unless you got more to talk about broad strokes in the Major League, I think, B minus. I guess a little bit tougher because there was a bunch of guys in AAA that just never really got it going in the major level. Shout out to Chase Petty for his, rookie debut. Shout out to Reese Hines for being up for like 2 days and playing 1 game, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think he had like 28 at bats. He had less at bats than Jacob Hurtubise, I believe.
Let me
fact check that.
I forgot about that. Gosh, now I'm going back to the April-May time when like Jacob Hurtubise and Blake Dunn were supposedly the solution. Good gracious, that was a weird time to be a Reds fan. When you had like a hot Benson and a hot Reese Hines, and they're like, who we need? Tyler Callahan. And you're like, what? You got to be kidding me. Shout out to Tyler Callahan. I'm glad he's recovering and whatnot. He made a tough play that unfortunately, broke his forearm in Atlanta. But, man.
Okay, I have spread fake news.
Uh-oh.
Reese Hines had 43 at bats and Jacob Hurtubise had 12.
Why does it feel like it was only 3 at bats? And I don't know, it's just me, but it just felt like it was just
because they were spread out so much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we can talk about
Blake Dunn had 60.
He felt like way more. This feels like a weird,
Blake Dunn had more at bats than Reese Hines in 2025. Just let that sink in for a minute.
That's crazy. And didn't he still have like 3 homers or something like that?
He had a home run, and then let me see. I'll get Reese Hines. Gotta go back.
Oh, I think Reese had 3.
Reese had 2.
2. Okay. All right. Well,
he did only bat 116 with a 415 OPS, but they put him in against lefties, and he's not the greatest against. He's kind of like that reverse split righty. But yeah, let's continue. I'm just getting mad.
Without further ado, we don't. I don't feel like talking about Reds April-May baseball because it did not go that well. But we are definitely going to talk about the minor league system. Enough about the broad strokes. Now we're going to dig down and we're going to start with our single A, low A affiliate, Daytona Tortugas. And this team was really fun. Like Ricky talked about earlier, and a bunch of the guys that we're going to highlight are kind of the reason for it. A bunch of the guys that get promoted from the DSL go up to Daytona right away, or the ACL to the Daytona. So like we see a lot of like fresh young faces, a lot of guys that maybe just got drafted out of high school and had 1 year in ACL. So it's an interesting mix of guys. Wasn't also the thing about the Florida League is that it's very hard to hit there.
Yeah, it's like super humid. That's pretty decently sized ballpark. Lots of rain. Like it's just difficult.
Yeah, and they would always cite like Jonathan India was a guy that got through the system relatively quickly, but like they would all look at his Daytona numbers and it was like the 240, 250 range, and like, no, like 240, 250 in Daytona is like 260, 270. Like it's not as bad as it seems. So if these guys are doing well at Daytona, then you know they're ready to play because of how hard it is to hit down there. So
And that gets me excited about somebody in particular on this list.
you want to take the lead here and talk about our most favorite catcher of them all?
Yeah, I mean Alfredo Duno had 18 home runs this season. That's probably like 27 if he plays with the Dragons. So, I mean, he is obviously he won the Florida State League MVP. He led the Florida State League in like 8 different categories: OPS, batting average, home runs, I believe RBIs. He had 81 RBIs.
That's crazy.
He had 112 hits. He had 32 doubles. That's 8 more than second place on the team. He was 5th in triples on the team. And he had some stolen bases. And he also led the Florida State League in walks. He had 95 walks. That's incredible. I mean, it's his first full season behind the plate as a catcher, predominantly as a catcher. He came up 2 years ago in the Dominican League, and he was a DH. He had an elbow issue coming out, and then last year he had a fractured rib, so that cut his season short in May, I want to say. And so his first full season behind the plate, and he goes out and wins MVP. I mean, and if I remember right, he wasn't even a top 100 prospect, and he is the top 50, I believe.
Yeah, I think the Reds number 3 prospect.
Yeah, he's up there.
He's up there already. Quickly, kind of everyone that's come across him, even Trevor, talked about him, saying he's just a massive guy. I was listening to Greg Kuffner, Reds Daily 4. He had an interview with the Daytona pitcher Schoenwetter, and he was talking about Duno as well. He's just a crazy athletic guy. But the thing that's been huge, and we always have to bring this up because he's not going to turn 20 till January of next year.
Yeah.
So he's Schoenwetter. I think we're talking about his maturity has come a long way as well. It's kind of crazy to be like, oh yeah, this guy hasn't even turned 20 yet, and he's still like the man on this team.
Yeah, it's insane. He's just a gigantic human being, and yeah, he was unranked, and he is number 48 currently. And you gotta think that in the beginning of the season next year, that's going to increase. Yeah,
you think so? Especially he's also playing Arizona Fall League, and we talked about this a little bit pre-show. It'll be interesting. I think he's not going to be like playing every single day. They have like a rotation system going on, so he's going to get opportunities, but not necessarily every day. He did play DH and catcher the last 2 games, in Game 3 and Game 4 of last week. So like they seem to be wanting to get him in the lineup anyway, even not as a catcher. But he'll take what he can get. I think there were stories. Ginger Shores Rex, I think on X, was talking about how like McLean and CES were kind of just rotated in and out. They weren't given any more time than anybody else. So that's, I think, kind of just the vibe of the Arizona Fall League is that hopefully when the guys get in there, Rhett Lauder got in there, two great innings, they just take advantage of their opportunities. And I think Duno will do that, or at least with all the workouts and everything that they're doing on their off days, they're probably all the other prospects are going to take notice and kind of look and go like, wow, look, take a look at this guy and see how he's progressing just, and just not, in practice sessions or batting sessions and whatnot. So that's kind of like the main guy for the Tortugas. And I think we always talk about it. There's no way he's not going to Dayton next year, but I mean, they could fast track him. They could possibly moving Chattanooga. Just throwing that out there. I don't know. It's not a take. I don't think that's
I
necessarily.
think there's like a 10% chance. I don't think it's outlandish, but I don't.
Now I'm thinking about it. They did promote McChrystal, who was with Daytona, ahead of him. So, like, in the pecking order, maybe Deneau hasn't necessarily made the leap yet over Ryan McChrystal, who's a pretty decent catcher from what I've seen, and his numbers have been pretty decent, especially when he got up to Dayton and started playing there a little bit more. So, anything else on Deneau you got?
No, just he's exciting.
Yeah. Another exciting guy that actually started at ACL, and this will give us an opportunity to talk about ACL players that got promoted to Daytona this year, and a guy that we're really high on, a guy that we talked about a lot in terms of, our 3-up and getting some shine for him is a shortstop. What's his name? I just lost it. I just had it right here.
Tyson Lewis.
Tyson Lewis. Okay. I was going to say we dealt Sammy Stafora in the trade deadline because we felt so confident. At least this is what we're reading from the organization. We felt so confident in Tyson Lewis to promote him up. It basically made Sammy Stafora kind of replaceable, and they parted ways with him. And he was still a pretty good player that we were profiling a lot as well for Daytona. But no, starting out in the ACL this year was Tyson Lewis, and he came on the scene right away, from my understanding. Like, hit the hardest hit ball for the Reds organization was a 111, 112 off the bat.
119.
Oh, goodness.
It was up there.
Yeah. So he was making people, take notice all the way down the ACL. And they started their season later. They started like in May, like a month or so after the Reds or the other minor leagues. The minor league system usually starts in like April-ish, and they started like a month after that. So he was turning heads and got people, excited about his ability because he just hit the ball hard, just at the very least, and super athletic, super young, like drafted out of high school. So he's only probably 18, 19 years old at this point.
He is 19. He turns 20 on January 10th.
But I would say he's probably the next big thing as well. Like Ricky was alluding to, this wave that's coming behind the class of 2023. This might be the next 2027 class that's going to be, at least knocking on the door of the majors, or maybe playing right away or getting some time, major time. Tyson Lewis might be one of those guys. Yeah,
I firmly believe that. In 2025 total, this is concluding the ACL season and the his single A season. He hit 311, 9 home runs, 27 stolen bases, and 862 OPS. He does strike out. He had 102 strikeouts, 29 walks, but he was only caught stealing 8 times. So he picks his spots. He's pretty good at it. Slugged 486. He's a 5-tool player. He's an A light. And that's no knock on him. That's just saying how great Ellie is. But he's going to be, if he can hone it and get it figured out, cut the strikeouts down a little bit, work some more walks, which that comes with experience. He's going to be just a really scary player for pitchers when he gets, because he could be in Dayton at some point next season too.
Yeah. I think we could probably agree he'll start Daytona again since he got promoted mid-season, shortly after the All-Star break or something like that. Yeah. And basically, we'll see how his progression goes the first couple months. Might be another post All-Star break, promotion as well, because Leo Balcazar got promoted from Dayton to Chattanooga, I believe, mid-season last year. So there may be some opportunities at shortstop up there at Dayton, if not at the beginning of the year, sometime during the year. So yeah, lots of opportunity for Mr. Lewis, who's super still young, just like Deneau. We'll see what brings for him next year. He'll be the starting shortstop for sure for Daytona going into their 2026 season. And we'll see, I guess, what his spring training looks like. I wouldn't be surprised he gets an invite to camp just to see how he looks, get some at-bats against some, spring training teams next March. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, he's going to be, like Sir Boy would say in the chat, absolute cinema.
Yeah, that would be nice. It'll be nice. Any other guys who want to shout out for the high A team Daytona?
Yeah, I'll throw a couple names out there. Keen Vu, he was I think 8th round draft pick, I think out of Arizona State. He had a great debut. He got promoted straight to Daytona, hit 273, 7 stolen bases, a 903 OPS. He started out his season, his first week, didn't get a hit, didn't get a walk, didn't reach base, except for one time it was a hit by pitch. The next week, he wins Player of the Week. So talk about a ride. He just needs to get his feet wet. He's gonna be a player to watch. And he was the ninth round pick. And then Mason DeVell, he led NCAA in home runs last season. He was the Reds' 4th round pick out of Oregon. He came in, he nearly hit for the cycle at one point. He's going to be a player to watch out too. And then pitching wise, Jean-Pierre Ortiz, he's only 21. He had 83 strikeouts, and I believe his ERA was pretty low.
I got here 2.86.
Yeah, it was below 3. So he's gonna he wasn't on any top 30 list, and he ended the season like I think 28th. So he's working his way up. He's gonna be a player to watch. And then Cole Schoenwetter, he's gonna be someone to watch out for too. He's so young, and he's battled some injuries. And yeah, they got some talent. And Daytona, if they keep their guys together for a stretch, they could see themselves as first half dominant next year.
Yeah, for sure. Also, shout out Ovis Portes. He's going to be playing the Winter Dominican League this winter, so he hopefully will work on his craft a bit. Young guy, got in the Lucas Sim trade, I believe, last year. So hopefully he'll get some good reps in there with the Dominican League. I guess some other shout outs for that. Arnaldo Lantigua, another promotion, another guy that we really love for the minors, is going to hopefully start again in Daytona, or he got promoted, right? So he's ACL, right? So okay, so he'll start the season with Daytona and hopefully get some regular playing time there as well. So we'll be keeping definitely some eyes on him for the 2026 season. So
and also shout out Alfredo Alcantara.
Yeah. For sure. He was another ACL guy, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So shout out to the ACL Reds, man.
They got some talent, man. They had a lot of great guys come up.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the ACL Reds as well, because I like to joke it's always our favorite, Reds affiliate or Reds minor league team, because they always have guys that just look like, dang, if they could keep going, we're gonna have a good one on our hands. So, and that's partly with the DSL, the international signings and whatnot, that will basically fill in those ACL teams and those DSL teams, and hopefully make it to affiliate ball sooner than later.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we'll move on then to our high A team, Daytona, my home team, basically, just about 35 minutes away from my house. They had, like I said, a kind of a weird season, kind of, real struggle. Basically, had Carlos Jorge struggle the whole season. Had Carlos Sanchez struggle kind of the whole season. Just guys that Cam Collier came through there for a little bit, but like their first half of the season, I guess, just wasn't good, and they pieced it together at the end and had that big run toward the end, but they weren't really playing for anything. They're just kind of playing to send the fans off with a good note. And shout out to Dayton as well. I think I saw a stat that of all the minor league affiliate teams, they were 3rd in attendance, and all the other teams around them are AAA ballparks, which are generally bigger. So shout out to Dayton. They usually sell out every single game. I think they've done it for 20 plus years, and they'll probably do it again in 2026, especially if our guys get promoted to Dayton for 2026. Yeah. And they'll bring out a crowd, not just the casuals, but the hardcores, the sickos will come out and see some of the promoted Daytona Tortugas. But any certain guys you want to profile, shout out to with the Dayton Dragons?
Yeah, I guess kind of going back to Daytona real quick. Who's your MVP?
For Daytona, it's tough because like the guy is like hands down like there's I guess there's no second place. Like it's either this guy or there's nothing, or maybe you're just giving a shout out to some other guys just to give him honorable mention. But it's for sure Alfredo Donao. He was the Florida State League MVP, so that kind of just makes it easy to be like, hey, yeah, well, if he's the MVP there, he's probably the best player on his team, kind of thing. So any other?
Yeah. So we can agree that Alfredo Duno's team MVP, and then I guess Jean-Pierre Ortiz would be pitcher of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at least for Daytona, you have that team. So here's the other thing, because Dayton's kind of struggled. Daytona's kind of the hot young team that has all the top prospects. Although Dayton does have some guys that you probably will look at too. But I mean, Leo Balcazar started with Daytona at the start of 2025, but he got promoted mid-season, even though his numbers necessarily weren't fantastic. Like he hit only like 262 with 9 home runs in 75 games. So he's not lighting the world on fire, but I guess they felt that his defensive prowess and his ability to play was good enough to move him on from Dayton. I don't know. They're just trying to get him on a different look, higher level to play against. Carlos Jorge was the struggle for me. Like I thought he was a guy that could be in Double-A or at least knocking on the door. His season had been real struggling. 251 on the season in 110 games, only 6 home runs and 37 RBIs for a guy that plays every day. That's what I mean. That's hopefully you get a lot better out of him next year.
Yeah. I was kind of eyeballing Jack Moss. He didn't play a whole lot, but when he did, he hit. He didn't have a home run, but he hit 322, 797 OPS. I'd kind of like to see him get a little bit more playing time. He was the, I think, 11th round pick in 2023. So he's not super young. He's still just 23 years old, but to be in Single-A at 23, you really gotta perform to get work through the ranks. And another guy, I guess I'll kind of name off a couple just briefly, like you said, because there hasn't really been a whole lot of players on that team that were like really stand out. Carlos Sanchez, he gets called up. I think he wins something. I don't know if he won a Player of the Week or he had some kind of run. He did something crazy. And then Luke Hayden kind of struggled. Ryan McChrystal gets called up. Actually does fairly well. Ricky Cabrera gets hurt, misses the entire season. Like you said, Carlos Jorge struggled. Peyton Stovall kind of started to figure it out towards the end of the year. And then the guy that I'm going to highlight the most, his numbers don't really stand out, but he had like I think a 12-game hitting streak at one point, Anthony Steffen.
Yeah.
He hit 248, 7 home runs, 9 stolen bases, 751 OPS. But if you look at his month by month, hit 289 in April, 258 in May, and then he hit 282 in June, 224 in July, and then he hit 250 in August, and then hit 063 in September. So just absolute roller coaster. But he had like a 12 or 13 game hitting streak where he was just multi-hit games too, and then just when he wasn't hitting, he was going like 0 for 5.
Yeah. I guess I buried the lead a bit because what I meant by they kind of struggled. Their hitting and their offense really struggled. Their pitching did come out pretty well April, May, June. Luke Hayden came out and had a bunch of outings at the beginning of the year that started out like a 4-0 or 5-0 type of run at the beginning of his season. But yeah, towards the middle months and toward the end, he tailed off a bunch. So like he'd be the first guy that I would profile on the pitching side for sure. And we kind of talked about this with the trade deadline, kind of like Sammy Stafura and Tyson Lewis. Luke Hayden's kind of ascension into the ranks of prospects for the Reds made Adam Serwanowski kind of, surplus the parts, like extra man. And he had kind of really a struggle of a season as well. The lefty basically just did not get it going at all. His numbers here are 4.84 ERA in 74 innings and was 1-7 for decisions. So like not necessarily like I guess probably why the Reds kind of moved on from was like he's not trending necessarily in the right direction. Even though like we've commented watching him and seeing his highlights and seeing his pitching form, he looks like a Nick Lodolo like body type. So with Luke Hayden kind of pitching well, I think it was kind of the right decision to kind of say, thank you for your service, Adam. We appreciate it. But he was in the Littell. Was that the Littell trade, I believe? Or
yeah.
Because I think Sam Stiffer was in Key Brian Hayes trade,
Yes.
right? So it was all right. He's going to be a Dodger. He'll be fine, I think. So it'll be all worked out because I think it was like a Tampa Bay Dodgers us.
I believe his first start for the Dodgers organization, he threw like a 1-hit shutout.
It was like the Mike Sirota stuff all over again.
Yeah, I mean, we trade him. He was a 3rd-round pick, and he goes to the Dodgers and becomes a top 100 prospect.
Yeah, and Gavin Lux is Gavin Lux. So yeah, there you go. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Gavin Lux. We're here to talk about our minor league system. Yeah, Dayton did have that kind of great run at the end. I remember Stovall and Stefan kind of being a part of like that last winning 16 out of 17, I want to say, of the season and going from 33 wins to 49. So they definitely were, covering up a little bit of.
They were stuck on 26 wins for like a month.
Yeah,
so, they just catch fire.
Yeah, so they kind of papered over some cracks in terms of like showing what kind of season they had. So I don't know. I don't know if there's really too much more. Hopefully we'll see a lot better performances next year for Dayton. I'm guessing Hayden will start there as well. Oh yeah, Jonathan Harmon came on late, a guy that's in the Arizona Fall League. He was injured most of the season coming off Tommy John, 26-year-old right-hander, I believe. And he had a pretty good August and September for the Dayton Dragons because he had like a 1.59 ERA, but he only pitched in like 5 games. So that's kind of why he's extending his season in Arizona. Hopefully get some more action this week and going forward. But yeah, that's another prospect to shout out for Dayton Dragons. Their pitching, I think, was better than their hitting because their hitting was not great, to say the least.
Yeah. The last guy I really want to talk about is Nestor Laurent. Goes 2-10, 5.79 ERA. I think he has a bounce back year next year. Just looking at his year by year stats, 2019 he debuts 4.43. I think he had Tommy John, so he didn't pitch until 2021. Or no, that was the COVID year. That's what it was. Okay. 2.7 ERA in 2021, 4.05 in 22, 5.02 in 23, 2024 1.68. So I think he's kind of like get to a level, struggle the next year, do pretty well. So I think he'll probably get promoted too, by the way. He pitched the whole year in Dayton. Okay. And he's not getting any younger. He's 23. He was young, but that missing the 2020 season just kind of screwed everything up for everybody. Yeah. And hopefully he can bounce back because he was I think he was a borderline top 30 prospect and just kind of fell off.
Yeah. Do you want to assign any MVPs or pitch of the years for this part of the org?
I think MVP. I'm gonna go Carlos Sanchez just because of what he can do and based off primarily of what he did in Daytona. But he's got 2020 2030 potential if he can get it going.
Yeah, I mean, based on body type and what he should do, based on what he looks like, Yerlin Confidant,
yes.
My goodness. And we profiled him. He had a couple good weeks, but looking at his overall stats, goodness, 133 strikeouts in 112 games, 4 home runs in 112 games. Yeah. Like, just look at him. Obviously, looks are deceiving. You know what I mean? It's not going to be just because you're a big, strong outfielder, you're going to be able to hit the ball out of the park every single time, but hopefully he has a bounce back here. So I guess I won't have an MVP. I'll have
player to watch for.
Yeah, player to watch. Hopefully a bounce back year because he's got the looks for it. So
yeah, I'll say the same thing about Ariel Almonte too.
shout out to him. So yeah, I'd say Luke Hayden might be my MVP because of how he pitched at least the beginning of the year, and kind of has been just at least steady. Hopefully, he continues that into next year in 2026, even improving upon it even more. But
and low key, just name just escaped me. Easton Sikorsky started the year in Dayton, dominated. He was really a player that like Nick Kirby was taken aback from, just because nobody knew who he was, and then he comes in and just shuts everybody down. He's a little bit older for single A, but he came in, dominated, struggled a little bit in double A, but he's pretty solid. Really, he had a really good season for the Dragons.
All right, shout out to them. We'll move on to our. I don't know. This seems like also one of my favorite parts of the organization, Chattanooga Lookouts, because I know they've got some guys that we're partial to. Shout out to Trevor Kunsel. Shout out to Austin Hendrick. But they're also a pretty solid team with a bunch of guys that are, I think, they're eager to probably move up to AAA as well, and had some guys move up as well that we'll cover, I guess. I mean, I don't know. We could talk about Sal Stewart probably at every single level, AA, AAA, and the majors for whatnot. But he did start the year, I believe, in AAA. Cam Collier spent a lot of time in AAA. I don't know where you want to start on this, but the Lookouts had a pretty decent year starting off the year, tailed off. Obviously, they had a bunch of guys called up. Being Hector and Sal being big parts of that team at the beginning of the year. But where would you like to start for the Lookouts?
You know where I'm going.
I had a feeling.
I have got to talk about Austin Hendrick.
4 for 4 in the playoffs, remember?
He gets drafted number 1 overall. I'm going to go through this spiel again just because I have to. You get drafted, 12th overall, first round, 2020 draft. Misses his entire senior year of high school due to that situation, and then he misses his entire possible first year of pro ball due to that situation. So basically that's 2 years without playing baseball effectively. You train, you do whatever, but it's not the same as playing live games. His first year, oddly enough, was one of his best seasons that he had. He goes to Daytona, has 7 home runs, 388 slug, 4 stolen bases, but really showcased that he's a really solid defender and has a cannon for an arm. And then 2022, he had probably his best statistical season. He had 21 home runs throughout both leagues, 165 strikeouts, 43 walks. But a 216 batting average was his career high. Let that sink in for a minute. Up until this year, he hit 246 this year, 744 OPS. That's his best OPS since 2021 by a little bit less than 20. And he cut down his strikeouts. Yeah, he did play less this year. He only played in 93 games. Some of it was injury. Some of it was just splits and kind of giving him more favorable matchups, which worked.
Yeah.
But he just turned 24 in June. And if you go on Baseball Reference, he is still technically younger than the average AA player. So as long as he's been in the Reds minor league system, he's still technically younger than the average AA player. He's Rule 5 eligible.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they pick him up and add him to the 40 man, but if they don't, I don't think anybody would take a chance on a AA player. But they might see a 24-year-old first round pick and think we could fix this kid and just stash him, and who knows. But I would love to see him in AAA next year. And if he could have somewhat of a season that he had this year, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a call and gets promoted to the major league team. I probably won't be next season, but if it was, it would be towards the end of the year or towards the beginning of the following season. But shout out Austin Hendrick, finally putting together a really solid season and just proving that he hasn't given up. I mean, it's got to be hard. It's his 5th year playing and kind of just, nothing really going his way. And it seems like, and teammates love him. I mean, we heard Trevor talk about him when we had him on.
Yeah.
Just excellent quote. But yeah. Shout out Austin Hendrick. Just great year from him.
Yeah, we're a pro Austin show for a reason. Hopefully he keeps at it. Might be a really big year for him. Hopefully he's ready to have even a better season this year, build off of the success of last year. Just running through some other guys to shout out with Chattanooga. I mean Hector and Sal played only 82 and 80 games respectively, but Hector had 12 home runs, Sal had 10. Hector hit 298, Sal hit 306. There's a reason why they got promoted pretty quickly. Like that was kind of probably the easiest organizational thing they did this year, I would think, other than maybe promoting Tyson Lewis and Lantigua and all that from ACL. But anyway,
and also, shout out Jay Allen for having his best batting average since 2021. Also,
we profiled him so much struggling through the first 3 or 4 months of the year. He started to get it going a little bit, I think, in the summer months. But yeah, it's tough. I saw him at Dayton last year a lot. He looked the part. He looked slick in the outfield, pretty good arm. Like he also was hit for power and for average down there in Dayton. And it's like, this guy could put it all together. He could be a heck.
He's got the tools. He's still young too. He's still just 24. He hit 275 in July and 297 in August.
Yeah.
He tailed off in September, but those 2 months, if he could go, he sustained that for 2 months. If he could do that, there's no reason why he couldn't have a Blake Dunn type. He's better than Blake Dunn, in my opinion. But yeah, he can figure it out. He'd be a really good player to watch for.
Yeah. So it'll be another big season for another outfielder at AA. Him and Austin Hendrick. So we'll be definitely keeping.
He's just 22.
No, yeah, I say you said 24. I was like, anyway, yeah, he got drafted out of high school. He's a Florida kid. Like, baseball. Those Southern baseball players, they know how to play. So, and they've been playing all their life. And Collier, also another one down.
Yeah, Cam Collier,
Georgia.
Yeah, he's from Georgia, I believe. Yeah.
So yeah, another guy also that worked his way up. Cam had a funny year, and he's also got up there in Arizona because his year was very abbreviated, to say the least. Injury in spring training with his thumb. Didn't start playing, I think, for ACL till like late May. Got called up to Dayton Dragons, I think, in June, and then in like mid-June got to AA Chattanooga, and been playing with Chattanooga the rest of the year. And his numbers were pretty decent for only playing 74 games, 263, 2 homers, 16 doubles. So, like, he's getting back into it, and that's probably why they wanted him to play in Arizona. And he looked pretty good coming out in Arizona. He started the first 2 games of the year, and he had some pretty good at-bats, and I think he'll add on to it, and I think he'll have, injuries aside, he'll have a great 2026, and hopefully be knocking on the door for AAA and maybe looking at the Major League Ball Club for whatever, however it goes. If it goes
he could go on a Sal Stewart type run where he goes and just plays a handful of games in AAA and gets called up.
Anything's possible, especially because he's got that pure swing that you've talked about a lot, line drive hitter, and he's learning first base as well. So we'll see. There might be a logjam at first base, and Spencer Steer, him, and Sal Stew. So we'll see on that. Any other guys you want to shout out on the hitting side for Chattanooga?
Yeah, for sure. Cam Collier, just because of the talent that he has. Ruben Ibarra had a ton of home runs. Edwin Arroyo, he really struggled to start the season, and then he still hit 284 on the season. So he caught fire and did really well. He kind of struggled a little bit defensively. He had some errors, but 12 stolen bases, 716 OPS. Switch hitting shortstop. He probably starts next year in AAA. I think they might have a decision to make on him soon on the 40-man. It might not be this year, but it might be next year. But he was one that was rumored to be in some trades for some talent. I don't know what they do. Do they view Ellie as a shortstop long term? I think they do, but Edwin Arroyo is a really good defender. If you're going to preach defense, you got to be fair to all the guys and not favor somebody who leads the league in errors. And I'm not trying to throw shade at Ellie, but if you're going to say, "Oh, we're picking defense over offense," you got some decisions to make on that end. And I'm not going to say what I want them to do. I'm saying what they're saying. And you had the chance to have Sal Stewart at third base, and you traded for Ke'Bryan Hayes, and they're going to have some decisions to make. So I like Edwin Arroyo a lot. I think he probably gets traded if I had to really just guess. But yeah, Edwin Arroyo. And then, that's about it on the offensive side. Leo Balcazar got promoted later in the season. He did pretty decent. I think he had a couple 4-hit games, but they got a lot of good players.
The Arroyo Balcazar thing, it'll be interesting. Hopefully he does start in AAA. Edwin Arroyo, that is, because Leo Balcazar is a shortstop. Although he's also in Arizona Fall League, and he's played second base and third in Arizona Fall League. So who knows? What I'm trying to say is that Edwin Arroyo might start at AA again. I don't know exactly the shortstop situation for Louisville. They got listed Levi Jordan at
their
shortstop.
shortstops are older guys, so
Davis Wenzel. Maybe if they really, I guess that will show if they really believe in Edwin Arroyo, if he's there in Louisville at the when they get to sign in March, or if he's not, then maybe you're right. Maybe he is a subject for trade rumors. Yeah, he had a quietly kind of good season, even though it felt like everyone was kind of dogging him for his defense and his hitting and his struggles. So 284 and leading the team with 132 hits in 120 games. That's pretty good. It's not lighting the world on fire. 23 doubles to 3 home runs. Not necessarily the biggest power guy, but it will take that if he can kind of be the shortstop that they say he is, and they do move on from Ellie being at shortstop to an outfield position or third base, like Clay Stoden suggested, which I don't know. I guess you got Ke'Bryan Hayes though under control for a couple more years, so that all throws the whole kind of plan into kind of disarray in terms of what do you do?
Kind of a hot take, and I was thinking about saving this, but I don't know.
Might as well get it out.
If Ke'Bryan Hayes puts together a decent offensive season, I think they could get something pretty solid back for him. His contract's cheap, and he's still relatively young. Elite defender.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they do it. I just...
Yeah, I think it's...
The thoughts there.
Yeah, I think that the philosophy of the coaching staff, to say the least,
he fits it.
What it is, which then would probably think that Edwin Arroyo would get a lot more vote of confidence in terms of being the next guy, the next shortstop, right? Unless there's other things that are being discussed with him or with the organizational shortstop, depth chart, if you will.
Yeah, because he hasn't played anywhere else. He's just been shortstop. Ellie played third in Louisville. He played shortstop in Louisville. Noelvi Marte played second base, shortstop, and third base before moving to the outfield this year. Matt McLean played in the outfield last year in the fall league. CES played in the outfield last year in the fall league. He's just been a shortstop. So I don't know what their plan is.
I'm not sure either. We're going to see, I guess, 2026. Maybe it'll become more apparent what they're going to do with him. Like I said, Leo Balcazar was a shortstop at Dayton, but they've been putting him at second and sometimes throwing him at shortstop, probably on Arroyo's off days or give him some rest and whatnot. But it'll be a very interesting 2026 for the Chattanooga Lookouts, to say the least. At least on some of the outfielders, some of the infielders. But anything else about the hitters at this point? Should we want to move on to pitching guys.
Yeah, we can move on to pitching.
So the pitching has been pretty decent for Chattanooga. A guy that we talked about a lot early on, Jose Acuna, had a pretty good start to the season. Tailed off a bit, 6-6 record, 3.64 ERA. But he was getting out there. He was getting after it at the beginning of the year, from what I remember. And also, what was the other one that I was looking at? We had TJ Sycamore, I think, was out there as well with some performances. I remember talking about. And then our guy Trevor 4-0, Trevor Kunsel 4-0 with 2.34 ERA and 20 saves out of 23 save opportunities. So it's a pretty decent pitching staff. And also Hunter Parks is out there with Trevor for the Arizona Fall League. He only pitched 31 innings for Chattanooga with 2.0 record and 1.74 ERA. So he's looking to get a lot more work in this Arizona Fall League. So it's and then your guy Easton Sikorsky, his numbers weren't so great. Did he get hurt this year, or was he?
He was in Dayton to start the year, and he didn't. He had some pretty bad outings in Chattanooga.
Okay, because he looked like he got 19 innings and 7.78 ERA, so not necessarily great. So hopefully you have another bounce back, one to watch there for the pitching side. Any other guys you want to kind of profile here for the pitching side of Chattanooga?
Nick Sando. He had a pretty good season, 7-4, 3.33 ERA, 92 innings, 107 strikeouts, 1.13 WHIP in 30 games. He began the year in Daytona and worked his way up all the way to Chattanooga this year. He had a 1.99 ERA with Daytona. He kind of struggled a little bit with Dayton, but then it didn't allow a run with the Lookouts. So he looks like someone that I could keep an eye on. And then like Trevor Kunsel, just the story that he is, he's a great dude. He was a real joy to talk to. He was real down to earth guy, Cincinnati guy, big Graders fan. Shout out Graders. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, he to come in and in your first minor league season effectively and go out and be an all-star for your league, that's pretty impressive. So yeah, Trevor Kunsel for sure. Nick Sando, Easton Sikorsky's a guy to keep an eye on, and then they just extended Julian Garcia. He's 30 years old. He was drafted by the Phillies in 2016, and he's had a couple 14 strikeout games in his minor league career. So he's someone to, I think he battled Tommy John or something. He had some kind of injury. Goes and plays in the international leagues, and then they get signed. So he's someone to keep an eye out on, as far as like depth in the Reds organization. And then, Jose Acuna, just, they got some guys. Chattanooga's a really solid team.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what we got in terms of other guys that get promoted possibly down the road for 2026. You know, Trevor could be one of those guys, depending on how the depth chart of the pitching staff. We're possibly losing a bunch of relievers at the major league level, you know, like Suter and Pagan come to mind, and, you know, Sam Mole might get non-tendered or whatnot. So there might be situations where there's opportunities for, you know, Luis May, Maxwell. Who else do we got possibly in that minors? You know, just moving up kind of the depth chart, and Trevor could be a guy that benefits from that and gets into AAA next year sometime, and hopefully takes advantage of those opportunities and maybe right there, possibly for a call up to the major league club. You never know. Strange things happen.
He's got the arm speed. He's got the pitches. He's proven that he can be really reliable in late inning situations. You know, if we see Luis May and Zach Maxwell stick with the Reds team next year, he could very easily find himself as the closer next year with Louisville.
Yeah, and that'd be awesome to see, especially because, you know, Louisville was an hour and a half for me. From who knows, I might be able to check out
on that for me too.
Yeah, so we'll check out possibly the Bats. Chattanooga a little bit further drive. So,
yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, shout out to them. Any MVPs or pitchers of the year or guys you want to hand out some awards for this team?
Well, I think the obvious MVP would be Sal Stewart, just based on the longevity of his year there.
Yeah.
But if I had to go with someone that's currently on the team, I don't know. I'd probably go with I don't know. Cam Collier had an okay season for him. Do I dare say Austin Hendrick MVP? I mean, he was extremely clutch in the playoffs. He hit 500, hit a home run, he had a 4-hit game in the opening game of the series. I mean, he proved himself last year.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm pinning Jay Allen have a bounce back year next year, knowing that he's got a lot of talent there. It's just a matter of, maybe just getting a little bit more comfortable at Double-A. It is a, higher level. So,
and I'll say this too, and as much as people dog on it, I know that Chris Valleca isn't liked by a lot of people in Red social media.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of them, but I think the change in hitting philosophy, you're seeing guys like Jay Allen and Austin Hendrick put together better seasons. And, maybe because, I mean, there's one thing that they talked about with Austin Hendrick and Jay Allen coming out was their bat speed. And when you have high bat speed and you're trying to launch the ball, you're going to get a lot of swing and miss. But when you have a level path, and you've heard Sal Stewart say, home runs are just mishits. Well, that's not being negative, I don't think. But, like, that's true. Like, if there's one thing you want to do, and I saw Zach Cozart talk about it today on Twitter, where, if you swing level and aim up the middle, like, that's generally where guys have their best, run on success, is where just because you're aiming up the middle doesn't mean you're going to hit it at the middle every time. Like, if you're early on a fastball, you're going to pull it out of the ballpark. If you're late, you're going to shoot it down the line. So, yeah, I mean, maybe just the hitting philosophy changing. I mean, maybe that's something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm just saying I'm not a fan of it. Like, I want to see guys. I want to see an Aaron Judge, hit moonshots out of the ballpark. But if it helps certain guys, I think the thing is you can't have the entire organization following that philosophy. You got to have certain guys following that philosophy.
Sure. No, I don't mind it as like a minor league philosophy either. Like, you're not here to win minor league championships. You know what I mean? As much as it's exciting to have the success to make playoffs like Chattanooga did in Daytona, like, if you're winning minor league championships, then maybe you're not ushering guys through the system quickly enough, or maybe there's a log jam that you need to figure out, that you have too many shortstop or too many center fielders, you know what I mean? Something like that. But I think it's kind of funny to, I don't know, for like major leaguers to have like the opportunity, you know what I mean? I guess I'm asking for moderation. It's the same kind of argument we were having maybe an episode or two ago. Just like the extreme of just playing small ball, move the runner over type stuff, and then also just not being able to. I don't know. I want somewhere in between, like launch angle craziness that happened in like 2015, where everyone was literally just swinging at a higher launch angle all the time, just for the mere possibility of colliding into a fastball and sending it out of the park, right? To this level swing, we're like, dude. How many of these teams in the playoffs are hitting home runs? Like the Toronto Blue Jays crushed the Yankees. They didn't look like all level swings. They didn't look like they mishit the ball. They looked like they were jumping on fastballs that they saw and they knew that were coming possibly, and they just jumped on them and sent them out because those guys are throwing it 99, 100 miles an hour. You know who hit a line drive for the New York Mets in Game 162? He could have had a better launch angle and probably sent it Pete Alonso. I'm talking about that line out he hit at 116. If he changes his launch angle like whatever amount degrees, the Reds might not be in the playoffs. But he had a pretty level swing that hit pretty nice line drive right to the outfielder. So, like, I get it. For minor league guys, you don't want them to have holes in their swings because then they become easier to get out, maybe get bad habits, go down like big stretches where they're not getting any hits or whatnot. That's fine. But like you get the major league level, like moving the runner over, bunting, that's old school baseball that has a time and place. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you never, ever, ever bunt, but I'm saying like it's not a philosophy that there's a reason why things get phased out over time. And I feel like we're getting away from our show. We're getting into the get off my lawn old man territory of like, don't play baseball this way. Except we're advocating for a new way of playing baseball, right? Somewhere in between launch angle craziness to we only hit line drive straight at the shortstop type of play.
Yeah.
So,
and then I guess last thing for me on the hitters, shout out Dominic Patelli. Go Canes.
All right. Hey, it's not a college football show.
College baseball. This is a baseball hoodie.
Yeah, Miami does have a history. Alex Rodriguez.
Yonder Alonso, Yasmani Grandal. As far as the Reds go, Dominic Patelli.
A-Rod went there, right? I believe so. Or he's from there. Anyway, not an A-Rod show. But, MVP, it's kind of tough because this team had guys that came through real quickly. Chase Burns even made a stop. I forgot.
Yeah.
In Chattanooga. So
dominated, of course.
That was such a small stint and same thing with Dayton. It's such a small stint you forget that he was even there. So like I don't know. I guess I'll shout out Trevor for having such a outstanding season. You know, MVP, most valuable pitcher at least for me because like he quietly just dominated. Like his numbers were out there with the 2.34 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, batting average against 206. If he has the same kind of season next year, there's no way that they're not looking at him to be promoted.
Oh yeah, for sure. The two pitchers that I kind of just stand out as far as like potential to be on the Reds soon-ish, and just the season they had is Trevor Kunsel and Jose Acuna. Just those two guys really stand out to me.
Yep, yeah, for sure. All right, anything else on the lookouts before we move on to Louisville?
No, just a lot of, they had a great year.
Yeah, my bad. It's Louisville, right?
Louisville? I don't know.
No, that's not. You definitely don't say Louisville. I think that you get a weird look and you can do that. But anyway, the AAA ball club, which is kind of the one that's most focused on because these are the guys that have the greatest chance of being major league ball players.
The bats.
Contributing to the Redlegs, at least hopefully more than 43 at bats, but neither here nor there. But we got a bunch of guys to talk about because there's so many guys in here that have played for the Reds, might play for the Reds, should play for the Reds. Yeah. I don't know where you want to start with that because, I mean, I think we talked about Rhys Hines and I guess here's my mini take before we launch into profiling the guys. If you're setting records in the minor leagues, there's something going on. You're either like out of this world great, or you're kind of wasting away down there and you're just compiling stats. And I'm not saying that he's not a good ball player in Rhys Hines or anybody else for that matter. I'm more criticizing the Reds organization for maybe not employing him to his maximum potential.
Is it because his swing doesn't profile Chris Valleca's philosophy?
Oh, then trade him.
Could that be what it is? Is him and Will Benson both?
No, if we're going to go down this route that all these guys, the reason why they're not getting a shine, Will Benson, whatever, right? Even not playing Sal Stewart every single day. If we're going to go down that route of like talking that way, then trade these guys. If they're not fitting your profile, this is Terry Francona. This is not his first managerial job. I don't know if that's necessarily the smartest thing because maybe there will be no takers or maybe they won't get value back. But like if you're going to build an organization top to bottom to fit the philosophy of the front office / management, do it. Don't pretend that Rhys Hines is going to get another shot because it doesn't feel like it. Anyway, soapbox over.
So I guess we'll go in reverse order. Team MVP, Rhys Hines. Just easy. The year that he had. He's the second 2020 player ever in bats history. He hit 296 if I remember right.
For his batting average?
Yeah.
No, 302.
302, okay. It was at 296 for a little while.
Yeah.
302, 24 home runs, 21 stolen bases, a 922 OPS. I mean, he only got 43 at bats with the Reds. And a lot of those were against lefties, which I get it. He's not like, he doesn't suck against left-handed pitching. It's just play to your strengths. You know, like you give all the other guys an advantage, and then you just say, "Hey, Reese, go figure it out." But I mean, we saw what he could do just when he came up last year. I mean, when you look at his season last year, he wasn't doing great in AAA. He had recently gotten promoted. I think he hit the low 240s, 230s, I think. And then he gets promoted just due to necessity. He goes out and wins player of the week in his first week with, like, what do you have, 11 extra base hits in his first so many games or so many at bats, set a record. I mean, that's just stuff of like super talented players. He's still young. He's what, 24, 25. He just turned 25. Like he's such a likable guy. Just you see him, Will Benson, they seem like a lot very similar character people. I don't think Reese Hines is as flashy as Will Benson. I don't think he's as divisive amongst like the fan base for whatever reason. But I mean, Reese came up last year, did his thing, and he goes down to AAA, just puts his head down and goes to work and goes out and has an incredible season and wins team MVP. Just, I don't know what else he has to do to be on the Reds outfield that isn't really that great anyway.
Yeah, you're talking about like he played only 107 games and hit 24 home runs, and I mean you got our best power outfield Steer hit 21 and like 130.
He was first base.
I don't know. That sounds like a topic.
If you want to be technical about the outfield, TJ Friedel had what, 12, and then Marte had a dozen or so.
Yeah,
but Lux had a handful.
I guess it's my view that Steer's an outfielder.
I believe he is, but I don't think he's even that great of an outfielder. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole on Steer, and I'm going to try to avoid it.
Right.
I think Steer I think he's a serviceable player. I just don't see him as someone that you want to have as an everyday player. If you have talent that the Reds potentially have coming up, like a Reese Hines, a Will Benson.
Hector.
Like, I would play Will Benson over Spencer Steer. I would play Reese Hines over Spencer Steer. Yeah, he was a really good defender this year at first base. He also hit like $140 for like 2.5 months. So I don't know. I like Spencer Steer. I'm not trying to hate on Spencer Steer.
No.
But I just think as far as a first baseman, I don't think 21 home runs is good. And for a corner outfielder, I don't think 21 home runs is that great either, because I think Hines, if he gets a chance, could do that and probably do it in more clutch situation. I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I guess it's just us butting up against the organizational philosophy of the management, front office coach or hitting coach, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever, whoever we're going to blame. It seems like there's just players, like you said, not in their profile, not in their usual, like what they would do. I mean, I don't know. Riddle me this. It's not like Jose Ramirez hits only 15 home runs a year. He hits 30 home runs a year. Like, are they telling Jose Ramirez you're mishitting the ball 30 times a year? Like, anyway, this sounds like another episode that we're trying to do right here. I guess what I'm trying to highlight here is that Reese Hines had an excellent year, and it stinks that it's only being used in the minors, basically.
Yeah.
And we'd like to see that he get more opportunities, but at the same time, he did have 113 strikeouts in 107 games. So there is holes in his game.
Absolutely.
We really hope that 2026 he can fix that. The same applies to Christian Encarnacion Strand, who has gotten some opportunities at the Major League Ball Club, but I think they're starting to get a little bit more they're starting to shorten the leash on him a lot more.
Can I ask something real quick? This has been on my mind.
About CES?
Yes. What did he do over Reese Hines last year to get a bobblehead?
It was a fan vote, so that's why. I believe CES bobblehead night was like a choice, and Abbott was one of the choices too. There was a bunch of people.
Was Reese Hines even an option though?
No.
See,
it was like
what did he do last year?
it was Ashcraft, Abbott, CES, and I don't know, River St. Martin. I don't know, someone like that.
So I can understand Abbott And I can understand. I guess I don't know. CES missed like the entire season last year. Like Reese Hines
He
won
made the
Player of
opening
the
day
Week.
roster, right? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
he was, and then he struggled, and he had that hand injury that just they couldn't discover, and then he went for a second opinion, and they couldn't discover it, and all of a sudden they found it. I'm not hating on CES. I think he's got 40 home run potential. He could be a Kyle Schwarber type hitter for us if he can just put the bat on the ball.
yeah.
It's just he strikes out and he chases way too much. He's chased at every level. It's just I want to see him succeed, but he also didn't really set the world on fire in AAA this year when he played. So I
Oh, yeah.
just
His numbers 245, 11 home runs, 37 RBIs in 62 games. Not at all. On base percentage of 310. Like
yeah.
he's not doing like the little things that just solving it. I think Reds Daily for Greg Kuffner talks about like he's just got just these holes in his swing, and his mental approach might be actually the biggest thing is that he's just out there to mash, and he didn't
Yeah.
really change his approach at the major league level because he just kept thinking he could be the big, strong, overpowering the pitcher every single time type of guy. And yeah, probably sometimes, but at the major league level, you can't do that one out of every 10, 2 out of every 10. That's below expectations and doesn't get the job done, especially on a ball club that obviously wants to prioritize hitting the ball the right way, hitting the ball for average, not for just power.
Yeah. So I think he would be, I guess, in my opinion, the biggest disappointment of the season, and one that I really hope has the biggest bounce back next year.
For sure. Oh, and talking about MVPs because you gave Reese Hines MVP, super high, honorable mention, super honorable mention for MVP at AAA. I think you talked about him a bunch too. Blake Dunn, like
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
out the year struggling, even at the major league level, hit like 190 at the major league level or less, and ended up getting his average almost to 300 by the end of the year. So like he worked his way back to being relevant in so much that a lot of outlets that we follow and talk about, in the Reds content sphere, think he might make the open day roster and push for an outfield spot, which would be crazy, because I think that was what the situation was last year. And we were like, why is this happening? Why is Blake Dunn playing when he's hitting 190? I'm not saying he's going to hit 190 again. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'd rather have like free agency options of someone possibly coming in to get that outfield spot, or Spencer Steer, or whomever, right? Obviously, we got Marte and Wright. That seems to be kind of locked in based on how he ended the year. But yeah, I don't know. Blake Dunn being on the 40-man roster or the opening day roster doesn't bother me. I think that'd be
not at all. He's a very serviceable fifth. He's like a Stuart Fairchild with wheels. Looking at his numbers on June 29th, he was batting 198 with a 286 slug. On July 31st, he was batting 259 with a 312 slug. And then you go to August 31st, he was batting 287 with a 367 slug. And then you go to September, he was batting 309 or 291 is what he ended the year on, 291 with a 401 slug. And then for the month of September, he had 309, 427 on base, 544 slug.
okay.
Like those were good numbers. He hit 358 in August. So, I mean, he had a very, very good 3 months to end the season.
Yeah.
It sucks because he is getting older. As far as like a window goes, he's 27. He just turned 27 in September. So next year will be his age 28 season for the most part. So, yeah, I think they'll have a decision to make on him. Do they keep him on the 40 man? Does somebody swipe him up? Do they trade him potentially? Or, like you said, he could be a very serviceable fifth outfielder behind who we think their outfield would be Friedel, Marte, Benson, Steer, and then I would love to see Hines out there, but Blake Dunn would be okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think they would probably want to reward his, finishing the year strong. They definitely, would like someone that's versatile outfield wise. I feel like he's got a little bit of versatility to him, and the speed as well helps. Because I don't know, I lamented last episode they don't seem to steal bases anymore, and he got 24 steals, in 98 games, and that's not too bad. So maybe he can provide that element as well. Maybe a late pinch runner, late, defensive substitution late in the game type of deal would be totally fine. And a guy that's been loyal to the organization as well is want to reward that loyalty. But it's just interesting. I guess here's a question for you before we possibly move on to the pitching. Talking about player profiles, I think Edwin Rios, first baseman at Louisville, has led all the affiliate clubs in home runs the last couple of years, and did it again this year with 26. Is this just he's just going to be a career minor leaguer? Because I don't think I've ever seen him play at the major league level that I can remember. I guess I can't say for sure, but it feels like this guy's just slugging it out in AAA, and maybe it's a profile thing. Maybe it's because maybe David Bell didn't like him either. I don't know what the deal is, but what are your possible thoughts on why Edwin Rios kind of just floats in AAA and doesn't get not even anybody talk about him?
That's a very good question because he did play for the Reds very little. I believe in 24. He played first base. Let me find it. He's 31.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In terms of profile, if he's kind of beyond the window of prospect, and it's just kind of career major league or career minor leaguer. I'm not trying to. This guy is playing, and he's playing his hardest to hit 26 home runs and 100-something games. It's not like he's going out there just collecting a paycheck. He's trying to do something out there.
Yeah, so he's never really had playing time in Major League Baseball. So he played in 28 games in 2019, 32 games in 2020, 25 games in 2021, and 27 games in 2022 with the Dodgers. In 2023, he played for the Cubs, 18 games, and then last year with the Reds, he had 5 games, and yeah, he got a hit and 9 at bats. So
when was that?
I will find it.
Man, I was not paying attention to Edwin Rios. 2025?
2024.
Oh, okay. All right, maybe that's why. Yeah, okay.
So in 2024, let's see. For the Reds, he played the 2 games in the Detroit series that we got swept and really started Detroit's run.
Yeah.
He got his only hit on the season versus the Rockies in that series that Hines came up and dominated.
Okay, great. This is interesting. I understand that the guy is out here to play baseball and probably wants another opportunity to get back up there, but I don't hear anyone talk really about Edwin Rios. And like I said, I feel like he's led the Reds minor leagues in home runs the last 2 years at least. So it's very interesting. I know there are some scenarios where they're just guys that just play minor league baseball, and that's their livelihood, or is their dream to be playing somewhere.
He mashes minor league home runs. He had 26 this year, 22 last year. He missed some time in 2023. He got traded at some point in 2022. He played for the Dodgers. You go back 2019, he had 31 home runs with the Dodgers AAA team.
Yeah.
So he's been a AAA player since 2018, effectively.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get some of our minor league people on there. Maybe your guy Carrick will have some insight, or our guy Ethan or Gingosaurus might have some insight as to what this scenario is. But Oh, wait a minute. Is that him? Did I summon him, Mr. Melvin? But anyway, so I don't know. It's just a very interesting scenario of like having a guy that and then they get, like I said, it could be just a profile thing where they're just like, nah, like this is, a guy that hits home runs, but he does not fit the profile of a major league level of what they're looking for. So
yeah,
it's a very interesting, situation of what we're dealing with Mr. Rio. So hopefully one day he gets the opportunity to play for the Redlegs in some capacity, but we'll see.
yeah, he probably does just as well as CES last year.
Well, that's a whole other thing. All right, moving on to the pitching side of AAA, which I thought the pitching for AAA had been pretty good this year. A lot of guys that got up and down in terms of call-ups. Chase Petty started out the year really strong in AAA and then got early call-up to the Major League Ball Club to make his Major League debut. Unfortunately, after that, it kind of struggled. He ended up on the year like 5-12 or something like that, like something crazy, and a poor ERA. So he's I guess I'm putting out there candidate for bounce back, AAA player. Love to see him back in the major league level. We know a couple of those stories for the Reds that guys kind of reinvented themselves, but Chase Petty seems to be a starting pitcher. Like the way that Trevino and some other catchers talk about him having 4 different pitches he can go to, having the command for them all. Like he seems to be one for the future that hopefully can maybe get his mind right and whatnot. Yeah, 6-13, 6.39 ERA in 26 games. Not sterling stuff after his debut. I think it really, I don't know if he was tinkering. I don't know if he was trying some different stuff. He definitely was, not at his best. So shout out to him to have hopefully a better 2026. But there's some other guys we can, Jose, who's the starting pitcher that we profiled a bunch at this level? It was Acuna for Dole, but
I just had a list pulled up.
Yeah.
Jose Franco.
He had a pretty solid year, but he wasn't.
Adam Plutko had a kind of a reinvented year. He's an older guy. He's 34. TJ Sycamore comes up. I think he threw a shutout.
Yeah, actually, didn't. I thought that was Plutko. I thought the 34-year-old, they let him go all 9.
That's what it was. Yeah,
that's what I was trying to think of. So yeah, the 34-year-old.
He did. There was something he did that stood out. Let me find it because it was towards the end of the season. I remember that.
And Jose Franco's season was pretty solid as well. Age 24 pitcher, 3.11 ERA and 100, and that was career. But
August 27th, TJ Sycamore goes 6 innings, 2 hits, a run, 3 walks, 13 strikeouts.
Oh yeah.
Or no, 4 strikeouts. He had a game. There was for some reason his name standing out to me for something that he did. But you just said his name. Plutko won Player of the Week.
Yeah, they let him go all 9. They let the old man go out on top. I don't know if that means maybe he's like going to be kind of done for as a AAA. We'll hopefully see him back. Sean Melvin says that Javi Rivera also should be back next season as well.
The season due to injury.
Yeah. So and then there's also the minor or the relief pitchers that we can go over. Luis May and Zach Maxwell. We profiled a bunch throughout the year, and they seem to be the next guys for the back end of the bullpen. And we hope that they do continue that. I mean, Luis May is super young, right? Isn't he 21?
22, I think.
He got kind of pushed through a little bit quickly through the system, but hopefully he'll be able to really get his feet, under him for this year and going into next year. I think you even had to take that they might make the opening day roster, 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean they got the stuff for it for sure. I want to give 2 shout outs One didn't have like the greatest season, but I want to shout out TJ Antone and Buck Farmer. TJ Antone, for one, just coming back and pitching again. 3 Tommy Johns. He comes in and he pitches in 3 levels this year. He starts out in Daytona, Dayton, sorry. 240 batters hit against him. And then he gets absolutely shelled in Chattanooga. In 3 innings, guys hit 467 against him. And then he goes to Louisville and guys hit 385 against him. But in 5.2 innings, hit a 9.53 ERA. Just it wasn't great. But to say he came back and showed that he still has stuff, 31 years old, 3 Tommy Johns. Shout out to him for coming back. And then the one I want to highlight is Buck Farmer, 34 years old, turns 35 in February. His birthday's actually my wife's birthday. But he leaves the Reds last offseason, goes to the Braves. Absolutely terrible, to the point where he gets released after 4 and I think 2/3 innings. And then he goes to the Angels, their AAA team, and then in like 13 games has a 9 ERA. Batters hit like 333 against him. Gets released, and then I think his wife shared an Instagram post of him in the airport with the Red stuff, and it said 3rd time's the charm, and it was because he comes to Cincinnati and I should say goes to Louisville, but he comes back to the Reds, where he probably should have stayed all along, and just shoves at a 1.18 ERA or 1.78 ERA.
1.98.
Yeah, he's below 2. he had like I had the numbers pulled up.
Batting average against was 168.
That's the number I was looking for. Yeah, 168 batting average against. He earns a late inning relief role in AAA. And I think I read an article on him where he had just talked about coming back and just being familiar with everything and just being comfortable. And I think, a lot of guys forget that when they leave teams. Granted, he had been around a lot. He pitched for the Tigers, Rangers teams. He's been around, and he comes to Cincinnati in 2022 and just has kind of revitalized his career to that point. And then he leaves, and sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And he came here and he figured it out again. And I think he's a free agent at the end of this season after everything's said and done. So I think if they could agree, minor league contract would be ideal. And then maybe he can, if he pitches the way he has been, he could definitely earn a role at some capacity with the Reds again.
Yeah, I think I threw out there that my hot take would be that he makes 2026 opening day roster. Like you said, the familiarity is there, and Trevor Kunzel talked about how like the organization makes you feel that if you need help with something or it feels like they want you to be the best version of themselves. Hopefully, that's exactly what Mr. Buck Farmer is thinking and feeling when he gets back with the Reds organization. And Sean, I think Ricky already shouted out Ryan Cardona when we were talking about Double-A Chattanooga, and he has been solid, and we profiled him a little bit, and we'll keep an eye on him next year as well to see how he does. He'll probably start out in Chattanooga again, is my guess for that. The other guy I want to talk about for we're going to shout out AAA guys pitching at this point is my company man, Mr. Lyon Richardson, who he is always there for a option. He's always there for a promotion in a tight spot. Losing Nick Martinez, he might be pitching a lot more for the Reds next year, being that we're going to lose Martinez's innings, and basically he kind of is an innings eater type of guy. Mop up if they're in a big blowout or if they need a guy of a spot start because someone got injured right a couple days before they're slated to start or whatnot. And he's always there to pitch in AAA and be ready whenever you call on him as well. So shout out to Ryan Richardson for that.
Yeah, he showed me a lot this year. I know he came up in 23, probably too soon, and out of necessity, honestly. But that year was rough on pitching. Really struggled. He was coming back from Tommy John from the year prior, I believe, and he pitched in AAA for the majority of last year, if I remember right. He didn't pitch much for the Reds. If he did, I don't really remember. But there's an outing I always point to with him. It was in Houston. 2 years ago, he would have just tried to blow fastballs by everybody, and I think he would have relied on the slider. And his slider, he kind of struggles with his command of his slider, but he really, really focused on his changeup this year. And in the Houston outing, that I remember, because he throws a sinker also, nearly the same velocity as his fastball. He threw a fastball on, it was a right-handed batter down and away, so it'd be glove side plate, and then the next pitch was a 10-mile-per-hour difference in a changeup in the exact same location, like when to the point to where the overlay had the dot, they were like basically the same dot.
Nice.
And then the next pitch, he threw a fastball middle in, but like off the plate to the righty, fouled it off. And then the next pitch after that, he threw a changeup in the exact same spot, in middle in, off the plate, swing and miss, strikeout. It was just, man, he was great to watch. Struggled at times, but I do know, especially when you get the shout out that he got from Tito, you prove something. Because if there's one thing that we could all agree on with Tito, is he knows his pitching. And when you get a shout out like that from Tito, like you earned it.
Yeah, for sure. One other guy I wanted to talk about before we move on or talk about other things is Randy Wynn, also a 3-inning save. He pitched on that Easter game where we won 24-2, but because of baseball rules, if you finish the last 3 innings, no matter what the score is, you get that save, and it was the only appearance he had. Also, shout out to him. He's going to be playing the Winter Dominican League, just got picked up by a team, so he'll be continuing his 2025 season in the Dominican and whatnot. Also wanted to get this comment. I'm not too sure about Franco Lyons. I know Hunter Parks is probably going to be looking at the pen. I was looking at his stuff because he's participating in the Arizona Fall League along with Trevor Kunsel. And he was in Louisville for a bit, but then got kind of like demoted down to Chattanooga and pitched in Chattanooga the rest of the year. So I don't know. He might possibly be. I want to say I saw some highlights and some things of him kind of struggling with command. Parks, that is, and maybe he can reinvent himself or at least dedicate himself to the bullpen, not unlike Connor Phillips has and Ashcraft and whatnot. Maybe there's something there for Hunter Parks. I don't know. I'll be keeping an eye on him in the Arizona Fall League. He's only appeared once, and that was on opening day for 1 inning. He had 2 strikeouts in a 1-2-3 inning, so he at least started off the Arizona Fall League strong. We'll keep tabs on him going forward, though.
Yeah, I think out of the 3 that he named, like Jose Franco, Lyons, and Hunter Parks, I'm probably the highest on Jose Franco. Just he's 24. He's a big guy, 6'2", 257. He went 10-4 with a 3.11 ERA over his split time with Chattanooga and Louisville. In Louisville, he pitched in 51 innings. Guys hit 228 against him. I was up a little bit. Guys were hitting 194 against him in LA. But his whip was at 1.38. Pretty good, decent. He struggles with walks a little bit. He had 28 walks as opposed to 52 strikeouts. And he kind of gives up the home run ball. He had 10 home runs allowed. He's someone that could be a sneaky, maybe doesn't make the major league roster coming out of spring training. He could, if he has a solid spring training, could catch some eyes of some people. And he, very well could see himself as like a Julian Aguilar 2024 type player. And yeah, he could be a bullpen guy. He kind of reminds me of Frankie Montas a little bit. His arm action and stuff. But yeah, he could be a solid Nick Martinez type bullpen pitcher, or he could be a starter. I mean, he's got the stuff for that too.
Yeah, for sure. We'll keep tabs on that and keep out for that. That's also just like following these guys' stories, and some of them reinvent themselves, kind of like a Connor Phillips, kind of like a Graham Ashcraft, is kind of why we fall in love with these teams, because these guys are, it's more than a job. They're going out there trying to prove themselves and be useful for this ball club, whatever level that they're at. So, shout out to these guys for going out there. Same thing with Trevor Kunsel, reinventing himself as a pitcher, being a field player up until his sophomore year of college, right? So, there's a lot of stuff that can happen in baseball. You're just trying to get to the big leagues and stay there as long as you possibly can, So, anything else you got for these guys? I wanted to shout out, I guess, Francisco Urbaez, just one, because he's the second baseman there in Louisville, and he'll be playing in the Dominican League, and he had a quite good season as well, kind of like Edwin Arroyo. I think he hit like 314 on the year.
Yep,
and it played a solid
45 OPS.
I don't know what his major league chances are, because he's not really talked about too much. I mean, it's probably why he's trying to continue his season as much as he can in the Winter Dominican League. But he's only 20 years old. I don't know. Maybe they just are.
He's a career minor leaguer.
Yeah, so maybe this is starting to become the Edwin Rios talk again. How we were talking about that earlier. I don't know. I guess he could
be the new. He could be the new Santiago Espinal, should he not get picked up.
Santiago Espinal is. I joke, but I think it's pretty serious. He's probably going to be a future Terry Francona bench coach. He's going to be right there next to Benavides and him. I'm not even joking. Whenever his time is done. If it's done, if it's not, whatever. But like down the road, I have no doubt Espinal will probably go into management based on, obviously, I think he's a pretty intelligent player. He's played every position, so he can probably coach every position, all that kind of stuff. And also, he loves Tito, and Tito loves him, so boom, right there.
I'll say this year wasn't his best year, Espinal.
No.
2024, he earned coming back. He had career high in home runs, career high in stolen bases. Really reliable defender, but like we talked about, if he has 300 plus at bats, it's not ideal, and he had 301. So, Francisco Urbaez, like he should be in consideration at some point to get major league time.
Sean says he's hit every level he's been at. And 314 in the minors, that's nothing. That's playing 100 something games. Like he's not like he's playing half the season. So,
he's playing basically every day.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know if it's like, again, when we're talking about this profile thing or whatever, like it's just, I don't know. It's these are the conversations I like to hear, like the front office talking about their minors, like what their thought process is and whatnot. Obviously they talk to the media and give sometimes truthful answers, sometimes not. It's interesting to kind of dig deep in this stuff and see who exactly the organization really, really likes. Obviously, there's the Alfredo Junos of the world that are can't miss, everybody loves prospects, but there's some other guys that are applying their craft every single year and maybe deserve a chance every once in a while just to get up there and show what they can do at the major league level.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 957 fielding percentage. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, is he really a whole lot different than Matt McLean, other than the fact that McLean's younger? I mean, because he's hit at every level. Matt McLean only hit the 1 year, 2023. Like he usually hits 240, 250. Urbaez has hit 300 at every level. They're similar size. Urbaez is 5'9", 195 pounds. He's got some pop in his bat. He has 26 career home runs in the minors. So, I mean, he should at least get an invite to spring training and get serious consideration for being a bench player.
Yeah, and if we're talking about profile, this might be the counterexample as to the profile that they go for, because they're not going for the Reese Hines who's swinging for the fences, CES to swing for the fences. This seems like a guy that would move the runner over easily because he seems to have the good fundamentals and the ability to hit the ball where it needs to go. And if he's hit at every level, then and it doesn't seem like he's got a high propensity for strikeouts. I don't know. They give the guy a chance.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to dog on Matt McLean. I know he had a bad year, but overall McLean, doesn't really hit for a high average every year. He just kind of like 23 was kind of the exception. And I understand the shoulder surgery, it takes pretty much a full season to kind of get right. But I think expectations are probably a little too high for what he is. So I'm just saying, as far as like a comparison, he seems like a Matt McLean type player.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth exploring a shot. He's never played in the majors, and I think based off the year that he had this year, I think he deserves a shot.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing what they do through spring training, and also the Dominican League, how he does there. He'll hopefully be able to prove himself and show what he can do. It's pretty interesting league. I think we've talked about it before, and I often bring up the Junior Caminero home run, game-winning Game 7 Dominican League World Series. How he took so long to get around the bases because it was just everyone just losing their mind. But like that's the environment you're going into, man. Like if you can do it there, you could do it, in front of 100 fans on a Thursday, and in PNC Park or whatever. I don't want to say our ballpark because we get more than that.
200 fans in Grand America.
Yeah, it's a Thursday during the work week. Come on, man. Anyway,
times are tough, man.
Yeah, inflation. Anyway, but anything else you want to say about the AAA? Obviously Reese Hines MVP. I think didn't he get MVP for the international? Or he got All-Star. I think he got All-Star for the international league. So shout out to him for getting that award for his 2025 season. But any other possible honorable mentions of guys that are the deserving MVPs?
Yeah, that's basically the two guys.
Yeah. So shout out to Louisville. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what the movement will be in terms of assignments in March after spring training. Who gets optioned down, right away, or who gets on the roster potentially in the 26-man on opening day. We'll see. It'll be very interesting to see what also possible guys are getting signed. Like you said, there was a guy that got signed to AA, 14 career strikeouts in a couple games. So there may be some different personnel and movement and whatnot. The Rule 5 draft, Rule 5 stuff's in December. So we'll get a clearer picture on what's going to happen with our Rule 5 guys. Fingers crossed, Austin Hendrick type stuff. So we'll see. There's a lot going on in the minors going forward. A lot of guys plying their craft in Arizona and the Dominican League coming up. So it's crazy, but it feels like baseball doesn't stop at all. And then we got the World Baseball Classic starting soon. It'll be crazy time, and trade deadline or trade off-season trade at a hot stove or whatever it's called,
winter meetings,
free agency, all that stuff. So yeah, baseball doesn't stop, man. So it's good. It's good that the Reds had a decent season to keep us interested to the end, and we'll continue to cover them and the minors and all that stuff going forward. Any other things that you got, Ricky, coming up, or anything you got on your mind?
No, not in particular.
You've been posting a lot of articles and stuff about. I feel like every single day you got your Austin Hendrick one. You got one about Iker Radona. So you're churning them out.
One came out today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to debate on who I want to have tomorrow. I got like 10 of them kind of like in the pike, but I'm trying to highlight a handful of players from each level for the off-season content over at redstalk.com. Just it's fun, and I really like highlighting minor league players just because, you know, they really, especially with guys that aren't like top prospects, they haven't really, you know, hit that like I've made it level yet, and they're still working extremely hard. And like we've seen, like with Trevor Kunsel this past season, he put his nose down and just grinded. And yeah, it's kind of cool highlighting like the younger guys too, like the DSL guys. Like I know I have one coming out soon on Angel Salillo. I'll probably have one on Wanderlei De La Cruz.
Okay.
Just to name a couple. Nabel Mariano, just some guys like that. Pablo Nunez, Adolfo Sanchez, like the obvious ones. But yeah, I mean, Iker Radona, just, you know, to touch on him, I guess, you know, he goes his debut season. He comes out of Mexico. He's 17, and he's a DSL All-Star. I think he allowed 2 runs all season. It was like a .93 ERA or .83 ERA for the season as a starter. I mean, granted, they're only pitching like 3 or 4 innings just because they got to get everybody in there. But he's a lefty. He's got really good stuff. I'll be interested to see him probably 2 years from now in either Arizona or Daytona, seeing if his stuff, because I want to see film on him. Like I just see Instagram highlights with him. So yeah,
that's the next frontier. I don't know if I'll be able to like do this, because I went down a real deep rabbit hole on YouTube that some organizations have DSL footage in terms of like they film their DSL league affiliate and stuff like that. The Reds do not. So I don't know if that's something.
They have like certain players have somebody film their stuff for them.
Oh, okay.
So like Adolfo Sanchez always has game highlights. He's a really good Instagram follow, by the way, too. Just he constantly posts videos of him working out, taking batting cages, batting practice, game highlights. Pablo Nunez as well, constantly game highlights. Yeah, I mean, they got some guys down there in the Dominican League who I am super excited about. Like Angel Salillo, to me, just I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name, being Hispanic. It's spelled Angel Salillo, Salio, Salio, but he profiles as a third baseman. He's a shortstop, but he, like, his body size, he's 6'2" already, and he's 17. Like, he's probably gonna grow. He's probably gonna build mass. So he's probably, if I had to guess, he'd probably be like 6'3", 6'4", like 220 pounds. So he's probably gonna, maybe even a corner outfielder, but he profiles as a really good hitter. He's a pretty good eye for the ball too. And then yeah, I mean, Wanderlei De La Cruz, I'm assuming no relation to Ellie De La Cruz, but
I don't think so.
he's got some speed, hits pretty well. I'll have to go back and check all my notes from all the DSL stats, but some guys in the Dominican League that, should they get the opportunity and they stick with them, they got some guys down there.
Yeah, Sean thinks Iker Radona will be in Arizona next season, so
He very well could be at the end of the season, yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for Iker Radona, one of our favorites as well. I got a piece coming out because we got the Winter League in the Dominican starting up on Wednesday. Gosh, it's almost here. And we got a bunch of guys that are participating. Carlos Jorge, Victor Acosta, Francisco Urbaez, who we were just talking about, Ovis Portes, the reliever. Nuelve Marte is going to be down there working on his right field craft. So we'll be keeping out highlights for that.
That scares me so bad.
I know. We'll just get more highlights of him robbing home runs. That's all we need,
Yeah. Hopefully he has like a Junior Caminero, like
that'd be awesome.
Home run, but he doesn't.
Hey man, Junior Caminero took that Dominican World Series winning home run and hit 50 home runs this year, 40 home runs for Tampa Bay, like rookie of the year, I believe.
He got traded to the Yankees.
What? No, he didn't. This year?
I believe so.
No, not Junior Caminero. He had 40 home runs for Tampa Bay. You're probably thinking of someone else.
That might be. Hang on.
Okay. I'm like, he's not in the Yankees. You would have seen him in the playoffs. He's going to be, I think, front runner rookie of the year for that. But anyway, River San Martin also signed for Lisi.
Oh yeah, you're right. I was thinking somebody else.
Yeah,
45 home runs, 110 RBIs.
Clearly, rookie of the year. Yeah, and then also our guy Randy Wynn got picked up for the Dominican League. So we got a bunch of guys that will be down there to keep tabs on for their league's about, I don't know, 6-7 weeks. I think they play like.
I was thinking Jose Caballero.
Yeah, total different guy. Yeah, Caminero, I think, is hands down rookie of the year for.
Oh yeah, he's
so
domination. I mean, to hit 45 in your rookie year, it's incredible. As a third baseman,
that is. He had a great year. So, like I said, you never know. Dominican League kind of launched Ellie De La Cruz because he had a great 2022 winner Dominican League, and that pushed him into the stratosphere of the Reds. We're going to be able to call him up or think that he was ready to go. So and Marte might, hopefully add to his confidence this offseason.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Rays. Just, you go out and you get the generational prospect in a guy I'm not going to name who does things that shouldn't be spoken about on the internet. I think we can kind of get where I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's the one guy they extend. And just, are they going to extend Junior Caminero? Just, is he going to make them scared to sign somebody? And to be fair, court rulings have shown there was a lot of fudgery going on in that case that, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but the mom is a despicable person.
Yeah, this sounds like a different podcast.
And I'm not defending any act like that at all. I don't want to make that 100% clear. But it feels like there was a lot of misleading going on too. Yeah, and the court probably legal standards and whatnot in totally
the
different.
Dominican, probably different than our own here in the United States. So there's a lot of different stuff that gets, not lost in translation, but just different standards of legal burdens and whatnot. So
if what happened is what happened, should never pick up a baseball ever again.
Yeah. Only God knows. Hopefully we'll figure it out on the other side. Whatever. Is this still going? Anyway, it's not a Tampa Bay Rays podcast.
We always tend towards the Florida team somehow.
Yeah. What about the Marlins, man? What are they doing?
Yeah, they got some guys down there.
Yeah. Maybe we could just trade for what's his name? Oh yeah, guess what? Connor Conine is playing in the Dominican League too. I don't know how this works because I thought you had to have a relative to play for the Winter Dominican League. But you could be, I guess, Connor Conine, who's maybe he's got some sort of great grandfather that served for, I don't know. Randy Wynn, I don't think it's Dominican either, to be honest with you either.
He's got a friend of a friend that plays there, and he's like, "Hey, you want to play with us?"
So yeah, shout out to Connor or Griffin Conine, I think his name, right?
Yeah.
So he'll be there down the Winter Dominican. The guy I was thinking of was who's their all-star? Let me trade for him. Kyle Stoker. No, I forget it. We gotta talk more Marlins. I'm out of practice thinking about the Marlins. I know they got Connor Norby. That's
Stowers.
Kyle Stowers.
That's that him? Yeah, it is Kyle Stowers. Yeah.
All-star. Yeah. Wait for him. I'll gladly take his missed hits all day.
Yeah.
So he was in the home run derby too. So should we? All right. Last question. Should the Reds never participate in the home run derby because Chris Felica would lose his mind? I think it's not a question. I guess I'm telling you. But
I think they should do it in spite.
I
just want to see Ellie hit moonshots.
Yeah, but
because we were all worried about him going into the home run derby and it messing up his swing. And what happened? He didn't go. And then his swing was ruined for 2 months.
Yeah, so maybe he should have, right?
He should have.
Well, I don't know. I think Chris Felica will just make sure that on the screen for the home run derby for our guys, it wouldn't say home runs in the count; it'd say miss hits. And, so that way,
line drives did he have?
Yeah, exactly. And then have another box for line drive. And how many kids he pelted? in the outfield.
Oh man, it's
So,
terrible.
Yeah, Ricky, you got anything else? I think that's all the jokes I got for Chris Felica.
Yeah, I think I got everything out of the way too.
All right, good. Until next time. We might have a guest, not this week, because actually our guest is a huge Mariners fan, but also writes about the Reds. So we'll try to hook up with them. The Mariners, I guess, play at 5:00 tomorrow. Like they have the weird schedule where they're scheduling like day games again for West Coast teams, like they did for the
Terrible.
Dodgers. What is baseball? I get it. The big draw is the Dodgers, so they're gonna put the Dodgers and Brewers on later. But like,
Play them on a
it's
different day.
Milwaukee. Yeah, but it's in Milwaukee. You could play like 6:00 in Milwaukee and play 9:00 out there out west. And anyway, that again, we're not getting into all these things that Major League Baseball was messing up, but we could do that in a definitely different episode. So many things.
We'll have an episode on that eventually.
So yeah, before we get down too far of a rabbit hole and soapbox, let's sign off and go Reds.
Go Reds.